Okay, so these are just limbs that fell and broke off the trees due to being heavy from the weight of the ice. But this looks like the tree exploded in all directions. And you can see that it's blackened right here and right here. And at first I said, no, it couldn't be a plasma thing. It's probably just rotting inside. It had a cavity where it's rotting inside. But it exploded in all directions. And they told us ahead of this storm, watch out for exploding trees, and most people laughed at it. But after I show you a few other patterns of trees exploding from the center in these plasma fires, I think we might come back to this and you'll take another look and say, maybe that is what happened there. So that video where MB3 showed the exploding tree was 5 days ago. This video is from 6 days ago where he says we got a plasma pressure buildup that's going to be rebalancing, reaching equilibrium, essentially depressurizing the plasma pressure buildup in the earth. This was 6 days ago, the day before the tree exploded.
Folks, welcome observers. Today it is Monday, January 26th, 2026, and today we're going to see the sun. Then we'll dive deeper than usual on plasma pressure and why it matters over the next several days, and on Earth's magnetic field, how it relates to our rotational axis and where we stand in the pole shift. We're starting with the last 24 hours on our star. It's just the most minor pops, no flares. The sun knows someone else is putting on a show here tomorrow and is taking a nap. On one hand, it's not really a bad thing. The sunspot situation seems to suggest we've got a very quiet week ahead of us, and so risk of solar flares and geomagnetic storms is lower than it's been pretty much during this entire sunspot maximum. But we are also in acute plasma pressure equalization territory of the Earth capacitor, basically the secret sauce underlying many pre-earthquake electromagnetic anomalies. To put it simply, Earth can take in, store, and then discharge energy from space. This happens in the ionosphere, the atmosphere, and the ground beneath our feet. Plasma pressure works a lot like air pressure. When the sun is pounding us and the plasma pressure in near-Earth space is high, we absorb and take in and often store that energy. During quiet periods, the Earth likes to discharge out into the lower plasma pressure environment. Well, we just took in a tremendous amount of solar energy last week, and this would be about as sharp a change as you can get. While earthquakes and weather phenomena are possible, it is actually the volcanic and human emotional states that have shown the greatest impact from pressure reduction planetary release. Eyes open during the quiet run we have coming here.
Note, he said that plasma pressure buildup and then release happens from the ground beneath our feet. Standing dead trees. We'll go check that one out. See this one? It's blown out from the middle. So this is a follow-up video from a fire that happened 4 years ago. And the fact that, see, it blew half this tree off. The other half of the tree is laying over there. Unburned limbs all over it. When it first happened, it had unburned leaves on those limbs. But this is burned out hollow. To burn that thick wood right there, yet leave. So you can see how it burned it out center mass and blew the top of the tree off, but only in one direction. I have many examples of this where I use those words, say it's like there's a bomb in the center of the tree that blows all the limbs outwards in every direction. This is just one example. Here's a video from the plasma fires in Israel 8 months ago where I combined it with some of the other examples I've recorded showing that phenomenon where it blows it out from the center.
Okay, and then should I go into the trees?
Sure.
Okay, so someone sent really good footage of these olive trees that were on fire.
Yeah, you can see the inside there is actually burned from the inside out. The outside, actually, some of the bark looks fine. And now this one, you can see the top has fallen over. This is an olive tree. All the leaves are actually still completely untouched, which is really strange because it's laying on the ground, which should have been on fire. However, you see the inside of the trunk is burned almost all the way inside of the ground, like almost underground there. And then here's another one. You can see holes right through the tree, which is really strange. And then there's one more there that you can see is burned all the way at the base, like into the ground practically. And it's burned only on the inside and not on the outside.
And for those that are a little new.
Two things that I'm going to show you a duplicate of here. One, that the top part of the tree had fallen over, the leaves were unburned, and the tree only burned from the center. And two, you heard him saying, it looks like it burned all the way down into the ground. Here's a couple minutes from a video titled New Samvartaka Fire Dynamics, Vaporized Root Systems, Shattered Rocks, and other stuff. We're just going to watch a couple minutes of this, and then get back to the brush junkie coverage of the Israel fires. Come out here and doing some plasma hunting with my buddy Sean Shane. And I'm going to show you how the roots are vaporized. Notice this tree on the right as we're about to pass it. I'm going to show you 3 or 4 different examples where the limbs are laying on the ground. Look right in this area as we walk past and you'll see it. There's much more clearer examples of it, but just wanted to draw your attention to that. You'll see all the limbs laying on the ground and the center of the tree is burned out. Almost like a bomb explodes from the center of the tree. Come out here and doing some plasma hunting with my new buddy Sean and Shane. And I'm going to show you how the roots are vaporized. I've never actually pointed it out directly in a video before, but this tree right here, that's the whole base of it. This was all part of the inside of the tree. So it looks like this place got hit with a bomb, not a forest fire. Like a bomb blew up in the center of that tree and blew all of these limbs outward. Does that not look more like a bomb than a fire? So this is a filtration device of consciousness. Most people walk through and all they see is fire. Here's a second example of the same thing, where the center of the tree got hit and exploded the limbs in every direction. Again, still with foliage, so you know it wasn't flames. And that's where the roots were on this one. I can stick my hand in clear up to my elbow. That actually might be where a branch protruded, so that doesn't quite count as a root burn. But either way, yeah. It's definitely got the same pattern as this other one where it's burnt at the bottom and looks more like a bomb exploded at the center of the tree, blowing all the branches outward, leaving the leaves on the ends. Link will be
conducted through the vascular system of the tree. So that's the most water-loving part of the tree, and we do know that water molecules are not only electrically conductive, but they're also susceptible to electromagnetic frequencies in the microwave range. It will cause them to oscillate and create friction heating. A spark.
And maybe that's how those trees exploded in the ice storm. The plasma pressure buildup that was releasing electromagnetic frequencies, causing that friction heating in the center of the tree. Just the tree to split due to... And maybe it couldn't release any of the pressure from that friction heating that was happening center mass because all of the holes, the pores, were all plugged by frozen ice. And under normal conditions, it has the ability to release some of that heat and pressure through the small cracks and holes because a wood is like a porous, kind of a spongy material. But at the time, all of those pores were clogged with frozen ice. Releasing electromagnetic frequencies, causing that friction heating in the center of the tree, causing more than just the tree to split due to freezing of the sap.
So what has happened here?
All right, and I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna show the olive trees from Greece that we saw. Was it in 2024 or 23?
This was in July of 2023. This was right about 3 weeks before the Lahaina fire.
Okay. Yeah, it looks very similar. And it doesn't look like, the leaves and the branches don't look like they're on fire.
Yeah, this middle panel is very telling. Actually, you can see leaves are actually touching the ground while the inside of the tree is on fire, but the leaves themselves have not yet ignited, and they probably will not ignite. Even though olive trees contain olives and
So here's another example where it blows the limbs off of the tree, not necessarily outward in all directions. I have more examples of that. But I'm just kind of throwing together a collage of examples here where it seems to show the same pattern. Other examples that I've taken previously. And in that video from yesterday, 100 plus plasma fires in Israel. Someone left me a link to a video that they posted 3 months ago from the Malibu Palisades fire with the same pattern.
This is what I was talking about. Check this out. It didn't burn. Except at the base here. Look at that. That's not normal, honey. I need to get a shovel or dig into this. Because there's something going on here. There's something more to this. How does this burn from the ground and doesn't set the thing on fire? Look at this. I could light that with a lighter and it refused to catch fire. You see,
Links will be in the description and the pinned comment to all of these. This one's titled Plasma Fire 102, The Truth Will Set Nutball Free from the Tyranny of Cognitive Dissonance and His Own Ignorance, or something to that effect, because I was dealing with some clown in the comments section saying these trees burn on the inside because they're dry. You can see I don't have to go far. And I'm going to show you this tree, this one, that one, and there's one just the other side right there, and they're all split open right in the middle. Notice you can still see the leaves on this one, and you'll see that the center is burnt out just like the others, blown out from the middle. On the inside, all around. So here's one. You can see this log, the whole base burnt itself right here, burning inside, all out. Big shout out to you. There, burnt on both sides. Find it and pause it right here. This is a good one. I show you about 5 or 6 others. Again, link will be in the comments section so you can see this repetitive pattern for yourself. But I just thought I'd show a few more examples of it, because what we saw in Israel the other day, that's no longer an anomaly. That's a repetitive pattern. That's just how these fires burn. Notice the leaves on this tree on the ends of the limbs as we walk up. And that the center is burnt out and blowed out, just like the samvartaka video that I showed on yesterday's presentation. Blowing the limbs outward, burning at the base. Fire don't do that. This new kind of fire does that. See if we can come up to this next one. Show you the same thing again. Leaves all over it. If this is the one with, yep, leaves all over it. And blowed out at the center. And you see it took a big old chunk. Also notice that the limbs of these trees seem to be bent outward. Not necessarily broken off, bent outward. We'll cover that more later, but notice right here, in all these trees, it seems to bend them outward from the center. We have other examples of that, and that might be how crop circles are actually formed. The electromagnetic frequency actually softens the wood and allows it to bend, and then the wood rehardens. I have other examples of this with smaller diameter wood where you can see the wood clearly bent to practically 90 degrees. And that's the difference between a real crop circle and a fake crop circle. But the main feature here is notice that they're all blown out from the center in all directions. That might be what we saw with those exploding trees. Tree burned out from the middle. Showing you size reference there. Link will be in the description. Truth will set nutball free. Plasma Fire 102. This is a recap that I just uploaded maybe a year ago from 2022. And these fires in Malibu where it burns right at that point where the branches, right at the point where the branches meet the trunk. That's right about where that tree seems to have exploded, is right at that point where the branches meet the trunk. And so maybe there was a buildup in that tree, and because the ice was covering it, it couldn't find a release point where it could combust and release some of that energy, and it built it up in the middle, like when a potato explodes in the microwave. And in that ice storm, there's probably an electrical component to this ice storm moving over, just like we've seen these electric fires, that I call plasma fire, coincide with electric wind. They call it electric wind or ionic wind. And so maybe that tree that exploded not just had some branches break and fall off, but literally exploded from the center, was due to a plasma pressure buildup within the tree. And it happened right there at the point where the limbs meet the trunk of the tree. But it couldn't release the energy like what you're seeing there, where it creates combustion and releases some of the energy through the burning process because it was covered with ice. So it built up pressure inside the tree till it exploded. I think maybe that's what we're looking at. We've got a few more good examples to show you from the center out, where it blows everything right from the center mass out in all directions. This is something I've noticed in previous videos that I've made, where the tree gets blown out at center mass, right where the trunk of the tree branches off. And in this video, the truth will set nutball-free, Plasmology 102. I'll include it linked in the description. I show about 15, 20, 30 different trees that are all burnt in the same pattern. You can see the limbs aren't burnt, it still has leaves on them. But at the center of the tree where it branches out, that's where it's all burnt out. Anyway, this is a pattern I've noticed and identified on multiple different videos. Center mass, right where the trunk of the tree branches out into the different branches, is where it seems to hollow it out and burn it from the inside. So that might be also what we're seeing with those palm trees, right where the trunk branches out. For some reason, that's where it's doing the burning. And this video here is about 33 minutes long, Illuminati confirmed. And I just walked through and I show you a bunch of different trees that all have the same stuff going on. There, this is a good one that shows you center mass. All the branches are broken down. Right there, center mass. Hollowed out inside. And this looks like it was a fire that happened a year or so before I actually filmed it. And that's why there's rabbit poop inside of the hollowed out tree, and Keebler elves have already moved in. Thank you to Jeff. This one gets pretty wild. I only had 3 minutes worth of memory left on my phone, so we'll watch what I was able to grab. But you'll see this bush that you're looking at here is split. The other bushes that I'm going to show you are blown outward from the center.
3 minutes worth of coverage on something that deserves 30, but I only have about 3 minutes of coverage left. So notice this bush was split in two, and all these branches bent, and all the unburnt leaves. That means the electromagnetic frequencies of the directed energy weapon came down and split this sucker right there, laid half of it over.
And as you can see, I was still in the directed energy weapons phase of the learning curve. So we'll turn down my nonsense that I was gibbering back then. Look at this one, blown out from the center, and so's this other one.
Notice from the center, all of the branches are pointing outward in a circular pattern. These go this way, those go that way, those go that way, these go that way. Unburnt leaves all over the ends. These are the unburnt leaves. Hold that thought. Unburnt leaves from the middle, right out to the end. Same thing, hold that thought.
This is a different bush. So there's one bush, notice the difference, blown out from the center. And then I show you a second bush, same pattern. They look similar though, I want to draw your attention. This is one, this is a different one. Same pattern, blown out from the center. And it bends these branches, not breaks them. That's why I titled this Doing Crop Circles. Maybe this is how the crop circles are formed. The electromagnetic frequencies are able to bend these branches. Look at this one. It's bent, not broken. And then it's hardened again. If you tried to straighten that back out, it would break when you try to straighten it back out. It's like the electromagnetic frequencies soften the wood and allows it to bend, just like they do on real crop circles. The stalk of the corn or the wheat or the oats or the barley or whatever the crop circle is made within is bent, not broken. That's how you can tell a real crop circle from a fake one that's created by some guys with boards on their feet. Is the fake one has broken stalks. The real ones, the stalk is bent. Here, the stalk is like an inch or two round diameter and it's able to bend them. And you can see it bends some in one direction and some in the other direction. It's like there's a line that goes right down these bushes and bends the one on the left to the left, bends the one on the right to the right. Some of them break, but there's a lot of them that are bent, not broken. And you can see the same general pattern that's happening here. That from the center of the bush, these ones come out this way, these ones go out that way, the ones over here go that way. It's like it pushes them all out from the center, and then the same thing happens from this bush. It bends or pushes them outward from the center. So maybe that's what happened with that exploding tree. And maybe that blackened part that we see on the inside of the tree, maybe that really is charcoaled wood, not just rot. Could be. Could be another plasma pressure release phenomenon that happens when it's all iced over. How many of these are we going to have to see before people figure it out? If that which causes this tree to burn from the center happens when it's all iced over, maybe it does build up and explode. Could be. Could be. So now let's take a second look at some of these images, because he showed us more than one tree. I haven't shown you yet the other example that he gave us. But here you can see it is blackened right there where it exploded. And at first I said, nah, you're just filtering everything through your lens of perception about plasma. Not everything is a plasma event. But that blackened area on those branches may very well be charcoaled. Here's a second one. And as you can see, in the same spot where the branch meets the trunk, charcoaled. That's exactly what we saw with the other tree, right where the branch meets the trunk. These are just more of the same. I wanted to go back to that one. Right where the branch meets the trunk, charcoaled. Were both of these trees rotting in that same area where the branch meets the trunk? Or is that charcoaled wood and the plasma pressure buildup couldn't create a fire? It had a fire going inside, and that's where it was burning internally until it split this one, but the other one, it blew the branches in all directions. Come on. Oops. There he gives us, even Mr. MB3 zoomed in right there with his handy dandy zoomer and showed you that spot right there. Maybe MB3 can see it too. So instead of exploding the branches in all directions where the branches meet the trunk, it split the tree right down the middle. And this might be a third example. I think he might have given us 3 different examples. And if the pattern holds, then right here where the branches meet the trunk, we'll find more blackened area. It's a bit hard to tell from this image. I would really like to examine these trees up close, because I think there's a good chance that's what we're looking at. This is the wintertime version of plasma fire. Because everything's covered in ice, it doesn't start on fire, but it explodes the trees from the middle outward, like it does in so many other instances. And I think that's about the end of the presentation here. That's what tree branches falling over look like. Presentation, there's a good chance. Let's go back to Mr. MB3's handy dandy zoomer image. He did that on 2 different trees. This one, where he zoomed in and used his little square zooming tool to zoom right in on the spot. Was that blackened area on the inside of the tree rot? Or is that charcoaled? Likewise here, he used his square handy dandy zoomer. We'll even double up on the zoom. I don't think that's rot. I think there is a good chance that's charcoaled. And that's what caused the tree to blow outward in all directions, like it does in so many of the plasma fires. And like Ben from Suspicious Observers was saying, there was a plasma pressure buildup from the previous week or so that we're being bombarded by the solar radiation, and then it let up, which allows the charged Earth to release its charge because it's no longer under pressure. Now the higher pressure is in the Earth, and it allows it to move up, and it moves up into the tree and can't find a place to release by combustion, and so it builds pressure and explodes the tree. Think we might have a new plasma phenomenon that we got documented here. If not, I'd have to be able to get up close to the tree. But we got 2 examples where it's charcoaled or rotten in the same exact spot. I think that's a pretty good indicator that there was an energy buildup in the tree and worked like an exploding potato from within the microwave. And it doesn't have to combust within the tree in order for it to be charcoaling the inside like that. There doesn't have to be a flame that requires oxygen. This is electric fire, doesn't require oxygen to turn the inside of the tree to charcoal. Just the creation of that friction heating due to the electromagnetic frequency that oscillates the water molecules. It can get it hot enough that it starts turning to charcoal and blackening inside the tree with no flame, no combustion, no oxygen needed. I'm going to show you a few more examples from this video titled New Samvartaka Fire Dynamics. You see those are limbs going outward away from where the center of the trunk of the tree once was. And it's a good one to watch because it shows you the root holes, how the roots of the tree were all burned. That's the trunk of the tree. We get right down in there close and show you the holes where the roots once were. And it shows you some straight line burns on the inside of a door jamb, proving that this is an electrical fire because fire can't produce straight line burns right down the corner of a 2x4, which are included in this same general fire where these trees were burned. The 2x4 on the door jamb proves the electricity component in these fires. And maybe I'll include that tacked onto the end. But those are root holes. You don't even see charcoal. You barely see any ash. Those are the holes where the roots of this tree once plugged into the earth. And they are absolutely empty. Vaporized root systems. And then I'll show you a few more examples. I think we got more examples of these trees exploding from the center. That's why I wanted to tack this onto the end. But this is a good one. Because there's more than one of these trees where I show you the root holes are empty. Fire doesn't do that. That's where a tree once was. And the roots are gone. But there you can see the branches all pointing outward. None of them cross where the trunk is, leaning the branch over in the opposite direction. All of them push the branch in the outward direction. And they still got leaves on the trees. Dee 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 dee. Twilight Zone stuff, man. And I show you how it shatters rocks. Fire doesn't shatter rocks. See all this shattered shale on the ground? How it's literally Pulverize the rock. This is the same process by which it pulverizes concrete. After these plasma fires, the drone footage flying over a neighborhood of houses that have been hit by the plasma fire, you can see the rebar grid that was encased in concrete for the driveway. A 6-inch driveway has a grid of rebar right in the middle, 3 inches up from the ground, 3 inches below the surface of the concrete driveway, to reinforce it from the center so the weight of the car doesn't just shatter the concrete. After these fires move through, that concrete is pulverized and turned to dust, and you can see the rebar grid that was embedded in the concrete. It turns the concrete to dust, kind of like dustification, a word produced by Judy Woods, who wrote the books on Where Did the Towers Go, because they got dustified. The concrete was literally pulverized. Similar process happened to this rock. See that big old chunk he just dropped off? This rock wasn't like that before the fire. There's not enough fuel around this rock to say, oh, the fire got it so hot because of the bushes that don't exist anywhere around the rock that we're burning. It's the electricity component that creates this rock to shatter and disintegrate. These rocks weren't like this before the fire. It wasn't just heat that did this, because there's no fuel around the rocks. There was nothing around the rocks that were burning. It's literally the rocks themselves that are burning through a microwave electricity type of energy. So yeah, new Samvartaka dynamics. Links in the description. You can watch the whole thing if you want, where we show you a little something about the rocks that are cracking open. Yeah. It's definitely got the same pattern as this other one, where it's burnt at the bottom and looks more like a bomb exploded at the center of the tree, blowing all the branches outward, leaving the leaves on the ends. Right? Right? Boom! Lays them over. See how it's burned this one down to a small... a little bomb at the base and the center of every tree, exploding from within the tree and blowing the branches off. Yeah, that's something like what it looks like.
It seems like I've really noticed.
I'm gonna check out how the fire, almost like a hot light, came and only burnt the tilt as the... This is all part of the same video. Since I teased you with the door jamb proving this is an electric fire, I'll throw that in here. From this side, and only burnt the front side of these all the way around the door panel. But it's just the front side of these boards. You can see this part's unburned, this part's unburned, but the front side is burnt all the way around the hole. It does the pull flip. I'm going to check out how the fire, almost like a hot light, came from this side and only burnt the front side of these all the way around the door panel. But it's just the front side of these boards. You can see this part's unburned, this part's unburned, but the front side is burnt all the way around the hole, like pretty much almost exactly right on the manufacturer's edge down the corner. That is kind of a new phenomenon I've not quite seen before. On both sides, all the way around the door jamb. Like a solar flare hit it from this direction. Some crazy bizarre burn patterns, man. Oh, and this board back here, it looks like it got hit a little bit too from this side, but you can see it only burnt right there along the edge. Up in here, it's not burnt. On this back side, it's also not burnt. Like a light coming from this direction hit right there because it was sticking down a little bit below this seam. Not saying that's what happened, I'm saying that's how it appears because the whole back side of this is unburned. Oh, we got a little bit of burnage in there too. I don't know how exactly it all works. I'm just a pattern-seeking primate, and when I see these kind of patterns, it's just another to add to the library of evidence that this is not fire. This is something we've never seen before. We have entered the twilight zone. Do not attempt to adjust your set. We control the vertical and the horizontal. Here's another one that had the plasma bomb at the center that has the unburnt foliage on the limbs that are unburnt. And look how big this sucker is in the middle. Just for size reference, the tree was this big around, and it burnt completely gone and left all of these limbs with their leaves still on them, unburnt. And of course, actually let me get up here so you can see that was the center of the tree. It blew these limbs out in those direction. All of these have a burned black circle at the bottom. I could get down there and show you, but there's plenty of examples. Yeah, let's grab one. Let's grab one that's perfect circle. Well, these all kind of burn to a wedge shape at the bottom. But typically that's what happens. At the bottom of the branch, there'll be a circular burn pattern only right on the end. But you can see definitely all those limbs laying. That circular burn pattern on the end where the branch breaks away from the trunk of the tree is like a fuse that breaks because it's got too much current flowing through it, and that's how it blows the branches right off the trunk of the tree. Like they were blown right off of the tree, like a fuse that had too much current going through it, so it burnt the fuse apart and left the limbs over here and let the tree burn over here. That is crazy. Yep, like a plasma bomb went off right in the center of the tree. Yeah. Fast.
Wow, this is so fucking crazy. Isn't that?
It's Twilight Zone level crazy. The craziest thing is after 3 years, no one else is documenting the Samvartaka fires. Oh yeah, I'll show you crazy. It's now been 8 years since 2018 when I first recorded and posted the first video of this phenomenon. That is the crazier phenomenon than the plasma fire itself. I do agree, except tack another 5 years on to what you thought was Twilight Zone at the time. Tree of Knowledge, due to the weakening magnetic field and fluctuations in the magnetic field that create a surge of ground current that comes up through the tree and does this. So this is a pole right next to that exploded tree over there that is burned from the inside with the unburn on the outside all the way around. And I see fire inside of mountains. I see fire burning the trees, and I see fire hollowing souls. And I see fire, blood in the breeze. And I hope that you'll remember me. Some more.